lights shine them bright. Gonna have a brand new show tonight with glitz and glam on the marquee. Perhaps the Tony nominee. Stars beam brightly, see them glow. Sell out nightly, SRO. It's time to applaud the Broadway beat. Stars beam brightly, see them glow in the footlights of a show. Life is sweet on the world's most famous street.
Tickets, please.
Take a seat.
Cue the band.
And have your feet to the rhythm of the Broadway beat. The Broadway beat. Broadway beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, our behind-the-scenes look at the very best of what the New York Theater has to offer. And this week you're in for quite a treat as we drop by Feinstein's nightclub at the Lowe's Regency Hotel for two-time Tony Award-winning legend Chita Rivera and her sizzling new show, which runs through November 24th. We'll also celebrate with the cast of Tom Stoppard's latest play entitled Rock and Roll, which is just open at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater. It is directed by four-time Tony Award winner Trevor Nunn and includes many of the original cast members from the London production, including Brian Cox, Sinead Cusack, and multi-award winner Rufus Sewell. But we thought we'd start things off at the first day of rehearsal for one of this season's most highly anticipated new plays. It's called August, Osage County by Tracy Letts, which will open on Broadway at the Imperial Theater on November 20th after a sold-out run at Chicago's renowned Steppenwolf Theater Company. Tracy Letts has given us such plays as Killer Joe and Bug. We caught up with him, director Anna D. Shapiro, and the cast led by Brian Kerwin, Madeline Martin, and Sally Murphy.
It's exciting. Those other plays, Killer Joe and Bug, both enjoyed great, long, healthy runs in downtown theaters here in New York, and New York audiences really seem to embrace them. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Broadway's all new to me, so we'll see what happens.
Talk about the audience's reaction in Chicago. The girls tell me that it was like a hockey game.
The audience reaction far exceeded my greatest expectations. Very loud, very raucous, and they were talking a lot, which normally is not a good thing, but they were talking to strangers were talking to each other about the play as the play was unfolding in front of them in a very interested, engaged way. It was very exciting to see. We seem to have kind of tapped into something, at least in Chicago, that audiences really embraced.
What's great about your company, they all say you're a wonderful writer to work with because you're an actor. You understand the process and all of that. What was the collaboration like with working with your director and your company in Chicago?
At Steppenwolf, we're very the collaboration is very even in that everybody has a say in the process. Nobody's ideas are thrown out of hand. The best idea wins. In order to pull that off, you need some people with some taste and some technique, and we're fortunate to have that. Anna Shapiro, who directed the play, is an old friend of mine. She's directed plays of mine in the past. She's directed me as an actor in the past, and we've developed a shorthand over the years. She's very easy to talk to suggest things to, and to make fun of, which is hugely important for me as well.
You know what? I guess I don't know if it's because it's Steppenwolf, we're pretty whacked out, that it doesn't seem that whacked out to us. Like, when you think about it, it's got a pretty classic structure. It's just 3-act structure. But I have to say, there is something about it. People see it, and they get so pulled into it, and we have when we were at Steppenwolf, we had reactions like people were watching a hockey game. So I think that the emotions are so raw, and our company is so amazing that people feel like it's really happening, and so that counterbalances. I mean, I think all of us probably have some pretty whacked out things that go on in our families. There's something about the way this play is done that allows people to experience that in a way that they have compassion for, and a way that they can feel connected to. It's not like a trailer trash freak show. These are human beings, and I think people find that really exciting.
I play Jean Fordham. She's a teenager who's kind of upset about her parents splitting up, kind of a lot like Becca. And so to escape from that, she smokes pot, and she's crazy about movies. That's one of her things she does to escape from her parents splitting up. And she befriends Jonna, the Cheyenne woman, because she's centered and spiritual, and I think Jean really needs that.
The role I play is Barbara. She's the oldest of 3 sisters, and she is feisty and opinionated, and I hope funny. I hope I haven't lost the funny. And she is trying to deal with a family in crisis, so mayhem ensues.
I play Karen Weston, the youngest of the 3 daughters, and she's a pretty unique individual. All the daughters are about 4 or 5 years apart, and so she's kind of grown up in this household of not really having any other sisters there. They've all moved out of the house already. So she grew up kind of alone and kind of without parents too. And so she shows up in the play, and she's so happy and desperate to finally find her home with these people. And she brings her fiance, and then dysfunction ensues.
I played Jonna, who you find that the family has hired her in the prologue actually, to be a living caretaker for the house and all of the madness that's going on. And I'm there at the very end of the play as well.
So how does she fit into Tracy's play?
She is a Native American character. She's very salt of the earth, and I think that she is the note of normalcy and compassion in the play, which is very important because there are a lot of painful truths that are coming out throughout the play. So it's a safe place for the audience to land. I'm pretty much on stage the entire time, so if things are getting a little nuts, they can always come stand by Jonna and be a little peaceful and then move on. But Jonna is not a pushover either. I mean, she's a woman that walks in truth, and she's passionate and compassionate, but she doesn't put up with any crap either, which is why I love to play her.
I'm the best daughter in every way. No, I am the daughter who many people identify with because I'm the one who stays home and sort of is the caretaker for the crazy parents. And they have, moved on to other places, and so I have a lot of baggage in terms of that, and feeling like I'm doing more than my share.
He's my favorite role. He's as nice a guy as you'd ever want to meet. He's a bit slick, and he is a smarmy son of a bitch. He really is a ne'er-do-well. He's smiling, a haircut, and most probably a good businessman and all those good things, but when it comes to really being decent to his fellow human beings, he's a lowlife. But the play is about a lot of very bad behavior among people. It's a dysfunctional family. I'm an outsider in the family, but I'm equally dysfunctional, and it's that kind of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf humor where you can't help but laugh the way these people are treating each other. It's horrible at some points. But it's very amusing, and Tracy, being the playwright that he is, has filled it with the depth and the compassion that a play needs. You can't just laugh your way through it. Well, you get spam a lot, you can, but this didn't spam a lot, yeah.
I play the head of the family, the patriarch, who is wonderful in his own way and terrible as well, who has given a number of characteristics to his children and to people around him, and which doesn't always work out well. Somebody asked Tracy one time in a group if this was about Tracy's family, and Tracy said, "No, this is about your family." So that's pretty much what it is. It's a family drama. And unlike family dramas that run through American theater, I do not like it when people start comparing his work to other work as if it's a kind of copy. It's an original work. It's by Tracy in his own voice, and I don't know any other American playwright who can have you in one moment with tears running down your face and in the next laughing.
Tony Award-winning playwright Tom Stoppard is celebrating his 40th anniversary on Broadway with his latest entitled Rock and Roll, which is just open at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater. It's directed by four-time Tony Award winner Trevor Nunn. The show has imported most of the original London cast, which includes Brian Cox, Sinead Cusack, and Rufus Sewell, who won the Olivier, Evening Standard, and London Critics' Circle Awards for his electrifying performance. Mr. Stoppard's sweeping, witty, and personal new play spans 2 countries, 3 generations, and 22 turbulent years, at the end of which love remains, and so does rock and roll.
For years and years, I had this thought that I should write a kind of pseudo-autobiography because I'm Czech, and I didn't go back to Czechoslovakia after the war, and I was thinking maybe I'd write a play about myself if I'd gone back, a parallel life. And I didn't do that play, but the remnants of it became part of this one. And I think that's probably where I started. It's hard to remember, actually.
It's so brilliant the way you put all the pieces together. It was fascinating. Just the music choices you chose are fascinating to listen to.
Yeah. Embarrassment of riches. I have to get it. It's like doing Desert Island Discs. In the end, you're only allowed a certain number. But I had some real favorites in there.
I'm not going to describe it as a very easy task because Tom sets the bar very high, and that's high for a director as well as for the actors. So we have to do our homework. In my case, it's very important to analyze what he's up to. It's very important for me to be able to explicate the play to the company rather than the writer, so that they feel that direction is coming from one source and one center, and that therefore meaning and judgments about theatre and judgments about character are all combined. But Tom is a wonderful collaborator. He sits at every rehearsal. Very often he doesn't speak, and then when he does, it's pure gold, and we all wish that we could have recorded it so that we can play it for future generations. He's a wonderful presence at rehearsal.
There's something which keeps happening to me. More and more now that I'm getting to be half famous for not leaving the Communist Party, I meet somebody, it could be a visiting professor or someone fixing my car, anyone. And what they all want to know, but they don't know how to ask because they don't want to be rude, is how come, when it's obvious even to them, how come I don't get it? And it's the same here. I meet some apparatchik working the system, and he's fascinated by me. He's never met a communist before. I'm like the last white rhino. Why don't I get it?
So why don't you?
Don't push it. Yeah, it's a tough road to play because he's a man of a single belief. You know, he holds on to his beliefs no matter what. I always think it's about a man who loses his religion but not his faith. And I think that's what's key to the whole story. And in that way, it's a great role. It's a really great role because and that's where I felt before I fell short of, and I now feel I've been able to accomplish.
Well, Tom Stoppard is a very, very obviously intellectual man, and the great thing about him is that he can get ideas across with enormous humanity and humour, so that you don't feel like you're being lectured. And Jan is a person with great intellect, but he has the gift of Tom's generosity and humour, so that and a great humanity. He plays someone who ends up doing something quite possibly heroic, or at least he goes through a lot of suffering, but he's not a square-jawed hero. He's a very vulnerable person who doesn't want to be a hero. He just wants to have a good time and be left alone. And unfortunately, by ending up supporting a band that end up accidentally representing something, he finds himself in a lot of trouble and finds himself in a position where he has to take a stand one way or another, and ends up, like a lot of people, accidentally being forced to be a kind of hero in the way that a lot of them were. They went through enormous suffering, went to prison purely for just having long hair and listening to bands, you know.
I thought the same thing. I came back to save rock and roll. And my mother, actually. But none of it happened. My mum's okay, and there's new bands ripping off Hendrix and Jethro Tull on equipment held together with spit. I was in the Music Ed Club, and they had this amateur rock competition, and the Plastic People of the Universe played Venus in Furs from Velvet Underground, and I knew everything was basically okay.
Well, I've been given a gift, really, because to be playing a woman a wonderful academic, intellectual, spirited, brilliant woman who is dying of cancer. So she's losing her body, but her soul and her spirit is still alive and vibrant. And that's what a lot of the play is about the spirit, how it, dominates, really. And then I die, and then I come alive again in the second half as a much younger and a sort of rather disappointed flower child who's in love.
And I play my namesake, Alice. And I think I'm the kind of lighter, more joyous side to the play. It's set between Cambridge and Prague, and Cambridge is definitely aesthetically brighter and also a little easier to take. I think Prague's very heavy. And I'm part of Cambridge and part of maybe a funnier side of things.
I play Ferdinand. Ferdinand is Jan, who's played by Rufus Sewell. It's his best friend, and I'm sort of the intellect. I run in an intellectual circle, and he's more of a journalist, and we both sort of push each other to figure out what is the proper way for Czechoslovakia to get out from under the thumb of communism. And we have very different ways of dealing with it. Rufus thinks that it's going to be Jan thinks it's going to be rock and roll music, and it's going to be the unbridled passions of rock and roll. And Ferdinand thinks it's going to be going by a systematic approach of the intellectuals putting on paper charters and terminology that we can get to the Western world that breaks it down. And really the amazing thing about the play and about history is it's a combination of the two that makes it happen.
Well, Nigel, he's a reporter, and he's a blast to play because he just really doesn't care, and he has absolutely no compunction about saying exactly what's on his mind, and there's not a whole lot on his mind. He's kind of thoughtless and rude, and that's just, it's a joy to be able to do that because you never get to do that in life.
Well, Lenka is a very free spirit, at the same time an intellectual and a bohemian hippie from that period, and she has taught me a lot. She has a very interesting take on life and on philosophy, and while studying her I felt myself free up, actually, and I'm completely in love with this character, Lenka.
You think human nature is a beast which must be put in a cage, but it is the cage that makes the animal bad.
Goodbye, all. The cage is reason.
Reason is your superstition. Nature is deeper than reason and stranger.
Is this going to be about the eye chain? Look, we only came to see Alice. We'll leave you to it.
Is this your paper, Candida? I think it's mine.
You're all insane! Okay, darling. Okay. You know, I'll tell you your problem is that you've been wrong all your life, and now you know it. Come on, darling. And it was all going so well.
Two-time Tony Award-winning legend Chita Rivera has returned to Feinstein's nightclub at the Lowe's Regency Hotel until November 24th with her brand new show, which has been playing to packed houses and terrific reviews. The evening consists of highlights from some of her most memorable musicals, including West Side Story, Chicago, The Rink, Sweet Charity, and Kiss of a Spider Woman. Many of her friends were on hand opening night to cheer her on, including Tony Award winners Anne Reinking, Bebe Neuwirth, and Brian Stokes-Mitchell. Here's a look at the one and only Chita.
And if my song should reach your shoes and start to tap in your feet, I'm happy. Let me sing a funny song with crazy words that roll along. And if my song can start you laughing, if my song should start you crying, if my song can make you homesick, I'm happy. I won't dance.
Oh, well, it was absolutely perfect. It was very emotional. Makes me want to be able to even come close to giving like that. And what an amazing woman. I mean, she's just, you know, there are special people, and she's a special person. And special isn't special unless it's rare. And she was amazing. And she dances better than anybody. It's true. It's absolutely true, you know. I was young, she danced better than me. I was middle-aged, she still danced better than me.
Well, watching Chita work is like, it's like stepping into something that you only dreamt about, you know? For me, there was this whole sort of side of Broadway that I always thought it would be amazing to be part of, and it doesn't exist anymore. And so watching her perform is like, it's just a touchstone for what excellence can be on stage in New York. And it's a touchstone also for me of like what the dreams were when I was a little kid, you know, about what it meant to be on stage on Broadway. It's just, her command of a room is perfect. And it's just a kind of excellence that it just doesn't exist. They absolutely don't exist anymore, these people like Chita. So I'm completely starstruck.
And over the years, these women set me free to stand on a stage and simply show you me, with lines on my face, pins in my knees, ready to dance some more. Hard goddess and mom and evil queen, part purple and pink and evergreen, a woman the world has never seen.
Miss Rivera, you're on.
Good.
She's just it. There is I can't, I'm usually, you know, fairly eloquent, but she's just everything. She is pure. She is, I think she's also, there's a quality of her, she is the embodiment of enlightenment. It's as though she is an enlightened being, and it's in her body. That quality, that essence, whatever that is, whatever enlightenment is, she carries it in her physicality, and it is manifested in her performance. And she could be standing on the stage just doing nothing, and it's in there, and it's so live. And, she has genius in her.
Oh, her show is so spectacular. I would go and see her in anything. She is the most talented person, I think, on the planet. It's so funny, too, because this stage, is very, very small. There's about 4 feet, really, that you can move in, and somehow she seems to just make it seem like it's 80 feet across. And she moves and she dances, even though she sings, she won't dance. If you got Chita Rivera's show, she's going to dance. And just the smallest, she makes the most insignificant gestures on anyone else. So incredible. I just love watching her perform. It's a masterclass every time I see her perform.
No, I'm no one's wife, but I love mine. I've had
shaky fire. I mean, I was excited. When I get excited, and this room is very small, so I felt like move those walls. Give me some stage.
Does it make it easier when you played the room before?
Not for tonight, because you don't get a chance to practice on the stage. We had really only 3 rehearsals, and so you really want to work at it, and because you got to make friends with space, that whatever the space, you have to make friends with it. So you have to use it. You can't ignore it. If you bump into the piano because there's no room, you have to say, "Oh, excuse me," to the piano or something. You know what I mean? And that's what makes it, I think, the audience relax, and they understand that you understand, and it makes it easy.
You make it seem so comfortable, though, because your theatrical pieces are so brilliant in a small little room. Then you sit by the piano on a stool and you sing a beautiful ballad. Then you rock out some beautiful Spanish beat and the whole audience is going. Talk about the joys of putting this show together.
Well, fortunately, honey, I've been around for a nice amount of time, and so I have a body of work that really is a blessing. The hard part is putting it all together, and make it right, and make it make sense, and make an audience relax, and you take them from one thing to the other logically. So that's the joy. And with the help of Tony Stevens and Lisa, and of course, what do you do when you have Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty and all of Fred Ebb and John Cantor? I mean, these are, Leonard Bernstein and, all of them. It was great. It was great. We would like to have had a little more time, and especially a little more time in this space. But then maybe the charm of this is the fact that you go, ooh, and you get little surprises yourself. Maybe that's the charm. I don't know. I just am so used to being in the theater, and to me, everything's got to be perfect. But there is no such thing as perfect. It's got to be real. And so, and this audience tonight, they were phenomenal. And to see Annie Ryan King and BB sitting out there, and Brian Stokes Mitchell, who, and Allison, his wife. I mean, and the two of you. I mean, it was exciting.
And here's to us for egg in our beer, and a cup of good cheer we can raise. Apropos to nothing, I know, just for feeling like throwing bouquets. Here's to us forever and always. I love you all so much. Thank you for